Hello. We will take our second talk on rice production today. Good evening and welcome to this edition of Weekend File. Last week on this program, we examined rice production in Nigeria with emphasis on the current capacity of the nation to produce sufficient output both for domestic and export purposes. The federal government says it is meeting the target of producing 8 million tons of paddy rice in 2018 wet season, and that the rice revolution policy has been an outstanding success, which has popularized local rice patronage, increased total output, and substantially reduced importation. This accounted for $800 million annual savings for the country. Despite the current improvement in rice production, comparatively speaking, Nigerians' rice consumption rate suggests there is enormous potential to raise productivity. Experts estimate that to double rice production in Nigeria would require to triple the current stock of mechanization to increase capacity for high yields, labor productivity, reduce post-harvest losses, as well as raise the income of farmers. With variety of rice grown in 18 states of the country, we will learn more about the rice revolution, the roles of state government, agricultural extension service, and other stakeholders in the rice production value chain. Tonight, I will be speaking with Ilyasu Aodi, Rice Growers Association of Nigeria. Thank you for tuning in to your weekend companion on the network service of the NTA. My name is Kirian Umayo, and the news is next. And now to news of the day. No fewer than 50 high-profile Nigerians have been placed on the watch list of the Nigeria Immigration Service and other security agencies. Mohammed Abubakar reports on that.
The affected persons are restricted from leaving Nigeria pending the determination of their cases arising from the instant judicial affirmation of the legality and constitutionality of Executive Order No. 6, EO6. President Muhammadu Buhari, who mandated the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice to implement the order in full force, enjoined Nigerians to cooperate with law enforcement agencies in the fight against corruption. A press statement signed by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Malam Garba Shehu, notes that the Executive Order No. 6 is targeted at ensuring all assets with a minimum value of 50 million naira or its equivalent, which is subject to investigation, is protected by lawful means pending the final determination of any corruption-related matter. Consequently, the financial transactions of the 50 affected persons are being monitored by relevant agencies to ensure that assets are not dissipated, as well as ensuring there is no interference with the investigation and litigation processes. In Abuja, Muhammad Abubakar, NTA News.
And now to political matters, as the governing APC takes measures towards resolving controversies surrounding the conduct of the last primary elections ahead of 2019 polls, President Muhammadu Buhari has granted audience to some aggrieved members of the House of Representatives. The State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the meeting held behind closed doors provided the opportunity for the lawmakers to register their displeasure over the way and manner the elections were conducted in their constituencies. At the moment, they say more than 70 members of the APC in the House of Representatives could not secure the party's nomination for possible re-election. The members therefore pleaded for presidential intervention towards ensuring justice and fairness to all. The outcome of the meeting, which lasted over 1 hour, has not been made public. But some of the members who spoke to NTA News described the interactive session with the president as fruitful.
Anticipated any automatic tickets, but all we wanted was a credible electoral process. But unfortunately, this was hijacked by people who do not like to see the progress of the APC. So that's why we came to see Mr. President and we discussed the issue with him, and by the grace of God, it has been resolved.
How has it been resolved?
Yeah, it has been resolved. He has assured us that all things necessary will be done to ensure that we have reached the concluding part of the whole thing.
In another development, President Muhammadu Buhari says if democracy is to be deepened and fully entrenched in the nation's body politic for sustainable growth and development of the country, every effort should be made to resist vote buying in politics. Speaking at a three-day conference on religious harmony in Nigeria, the president was emphatic that Nigerians deserve a better future, which can only be guaranteed by free, fair, peaceful, and credible election process. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has that report.
The Conference on Religious Harmony in Nigeria towards the 2019 elections was put together by the Interfaith Initiative for Peace in response to what the members called growing sense of mistrust and lack of confidence in each other amongst adherents of the major religions. And this, the conveners say, is unhealthy as Nigeria's next general elections draw near.
Constant rhetoric about ensuring free, fair, and credible elections is a very sweet song to ears of every Nigerian. Mr. President, we thank you for that.
As religious leaders, we need to move from emphasis on competition for dominance to cooperation towards the common good of the entire society.
For President Muhammadu Buhari, Nigeria deserves a better future for the coming generations, and that can only be achieved through the guidance of God as people look forward to a peaceful, fair, and credible polls in 2019.
Religious leaders should not be seen to involve themselves in partisan politics or political controversies. Otherwise, they risk losing their status and public respect. On their part, the traditional rulers, I would request that you encourage your subjects to come out and exercise their voting rights as responsible citizens. To all of us politicians, I ask that we discharge our political responsibilities with integrity, bearing in mind that we will one day give an account to God, the Almighty.
The president said, although the era of free money, lack of transparency, and accountability is over in Nigeria, money politics, as well as negative use of religion and ethnicity, are unfortunately yet to be eliminated.
We refuse to learn by other people's experience, and we are refusing to learn by our own mistakes. The question of religion and ethnicity is fraudulent. Some of you know, during primaries, dollars were being given. Nobody takes naira. So really, it's materialism. That's what we will fight to make sure that we stabilize at every level and do justice to our country.
In a keynote address, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, expressed optimism in the future of Nigeria, but said the nation's critical stakeholders must unite against the forces of destabilization and disunity.
We must not condone the wrong deeds of ourselves or public officials just because they belong to our church or mosque.
Our religions are not in competition. Rather, they are intended to create further understanding of the purpose of our creation with a view to strengthening the future of our nation and its citizens.
Absolutely necessary for Nigerians and indeed all citizens to make sure there is peace in the country.
There were goodwill messages from the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Christian Association of Nigeria, the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, the National Security Advisor, and the Chief Justice of Nigeria. A communique is expected at the end of the conference, fourth in its series. In Abuja, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Thank you, Adamu. Meanwhile, guests at a three-day conference by Interfaith Initiative for Peace in Abuja have agreed that for the 2019 general elections to be free, fair, and credible, religious leaders must remain apolitical for proper guidance and for them to maintain their respect and neutrality. This formed part of a 12-point communique issued at the end of a three-day conference. Miriam Bata has the report.
The communique was specific on all the major faiths from the same source, the same God, with the same message of one God and the brotherhood of humanity. On diversity and differences in religion, the communique noted that religion and ideas must be seen as a blessing, not a curse.
Religious harmony is very important because there must be understanding for us to move together, to move forward.
If we continue this way, good governance, genuine democracy, national unity, peace and prosperity for all Nigerians will continue to elude us.
The gathering also noted that religious leaders must preach peace against violence, reminding them that God's wrath awaits perpetrators of violence.
In view of the respect our religious leaders are enjoying from their followers, it is incumbent on them to do all within their powers to preach and encourage harmony.
It is necessary to begin this at the grassroots.
The forum observed with concern how some political leaders are taking advantage of their position to advance their selfish agenda against the interests of the common man. In Abuja, Miriam Akpata, NTA News.
In the meantime, traditional rulers in Plateau State have resolved to strengthen the institution of peace in their domains for a greater peaceful coexistence of the state. It was during an emergency peace meeting convened by the Catholic Archbishop of Jos, Most Reverend Ignatius K. Gama. Priscilla Gurunam reports.
Security agencies, community and religious leaders are also committed to tackle head-on this recurring decimal in the state.
An opposition in desirable contributing to ending the cycle of violence perpetrated by some Nigerian and I hereby solicit indulgence and support through all our traditional partners.
Emir of Wase Alhaji Muhammadu Sambo Haruna, who read the 13-point resolution, called on the government to intensify efforts on enforcing regulation on land acquisition, as this is crucial to peaceful coexistence.
We call on traditional and religious leaders to be non-partisan, objective and constructive in tackling problems that confront.
Plateau State Governor Simon Lalong stressed that people must desist from ethnic and religious hatred.
It's the kind of hatred that we build that will ensure that insecurity will continue in our society.
It is hoped that this particular peace drive will go a long way in restoring peace in Jos. Priscilla Grumnan, NTA News.
A stakeholders meeting of the Maternity Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria has been convened to map out strategies towards checkmating a rising trend of insecurity in Niger State. This followed a renewed spate of killings, kidnappings, and cattle rustling in parts of the state. Mukhtar Abubakar reports that representatives of the police and paramilitary agencies were in attendance.
There has been rise in recent time of cases of armed banditry in some parts of Niger State, especially around border towns. It is against this backdrop that the Niger State branch of the Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association summoned a stakeholders meeting to adopt strategies aimed at addressing this situation. It was the consensus of all stakeholders at the meeting that all concerned must put in more effort to contain this scourge of armed banditry. The Fulani leaders at the meeting appealed to the state governments to give Fulani vigilante groups more support, as such groups are assisting the security agencies at the state borders.
I call to the government of Niger State to assist these people, because we don't want anybody who is leave the crime and then go back to that crime.
Government of Niger State has been cooperating seriously with all the security bodies.
Grazing reserve. It has been gazetted, and the governor is doing all he can do now to make sure he provides all the necessary things that need to be put in place.
The State Commissioner of Police, Diba Paul Yakadi, reiterated the combat readiness of the police in checking crime in the state, especially around border communities.
We have minimized the activities in every locality. We are on the top of the situation, and we believe we can be able to maintain the tempo.
The meeting of the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association had as its theme Farmer-herder conflict, a threat to peace building and human security in Nigeria. In Mina, Mukhtar Abubakar, NTA News.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says human capital development must be a priority of public policy of governments across Africa to effectively tackle multidimensional poverty and improve long-term development on the continent. The Vice President said this during his special lecture on the challenges of human development in the 21st century Africa, held at the Oxford University in the United Kingdom. State House correspondent Jida Onifade monitored the event.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo highlighted ongoing investments, efforts and plans of the Nigerian government and the progress it has made in improving the country's human capital development indices and investment climate, as well as the widespread impact of the national social investment programs.
In Nigeria, for instance, 72% of healthcare is paid out of individual pockets, which means that the poor and destitute find it difficult to access even basic health services. Unemployment rates are high on the continent, simply because the number of new entrants to the job market far outstrip the pace of job creation.
The challenges of human capital development in Africa is enormous, the Vice President notes, calling on African governments to unlock the opportunities to significantly improve standards of existence for people.
Clearly, improving human capital development must be a priority of public policy. Indeed, given the scale and extent of multidimensional poverty in Africa, governments have a moral obligation, a duty to put human capital development at the very top of their concerns. The moral case is clear, and it is also in our collective interest to do so. Poverty, illiteracy, destitution, and a lack of jobs and economic opportunity often feed into feelings of marginalization and dislocation.
The continued diversification of the Nigerian economy by the administration and its massive investment on infrastructure, he explains, are some of the initiatives the administration has deployed towards promoting growth and human capital development in the country.
Very proud to be a member of the advisory board of the Oxford African Studies Center. But today the Vice President made me proud as a Nigerian, as an African, for his very accurate articulation of the challenges before us and what we need to do. I think we have a lot ahead of us, but by the grace of God, we will provide leadership in the African continent for that.
At the event, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo inaugurated the International Advisory Board of Oxford University's African Studies Center under the School of Global and Area Studies.
Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says the war against fake news is being won by the federal government through its efforts on a national campaign. He said this in Lagos at a lecture on combating fake news in the cyberspace. Dotun Oguyeme reports.
Chris Kehinde Nwadu was imprisoned for 18 days after being charged under the cybercrime law of 2015 for spreading fake news on social media. His experience underscores the severity and purpose-driven global campaign to end the spread of fake news. This informed the Guild of Professional Bloggers of Nigeria in helping to raise more awareness about the dangers of peddling fake news. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, believes partnership with media professionals and other bodies, such as professional bloggers, will help the federal government's campaign in curbing this trend.
The war against fake news is a must win. As a multi-ethnic, multi-religious nation, Nigeria cannot afford an unbridled spread of fake news. This phenomenon is exploiting our fault lines to aggravate the crisis in the country.
Speakers at the lecture are conscious of political trends and urge politicians to engage on issue-based campaigns ahead of the 2019 elections.
This public lecture further propagates the national campaign
of the federal government launched on the 11th of July this year, which seeks to create a national awareness against fake news and hate speeches in Lagos. Dotun Ogunyemi, NTA News.
Thank you, Dotu. The ongoing construction of antenatal and maternity clinic at the Federal Medical Center, Yola, under the Aisha Muhammadu Buhari Foundation, has reached almost 60% completion. In a message while inspecting the facility to ascertain the progress of the work, the wife of the president expressed optimism that the project will be completed before the end of this year. Let's hear from State House correspondent Ali Kabir.
With the successful operation of the 50-bed capacity Aisha Muhammadu Buhari Maternity Clinic in Daura General Hospital, Katana State, the wife of the president in May this year has embarked on the construction of 70-bed capacity antenatal and maternity clinic at the Federal Medical Center, Iola, to complement government efforts in improving the health of women and children in Nigeria. The facility, when completed, had the capacity to accommodate over 200 patients at a time. While inspecting the project, the representative of the wife of the president and the National Coordinator of Future Assured Program, Dr. Abdurrahman Muhammad Kamal, expressed appreciation with the level of work done.
Federal Medical Center, as we are aware, is an Apex Health facility, which also serves as a referral center to other hospitals from within Adamawa states. So it is our belief that this project, when completed, will go a long way in relieving this facility from the burden of overseeing so many patients from different parts of the state.
This has provided things that were not available in this, our former maternity. And for example, the antenatal clinic will sit about 200 patients. Where we are using now is just a tiny place. The gynae wards, there will be a gynae emergency, so it will free a lot of places also.
The project, when completed, is expected to cater for the antenatal needs of not only people of Adamawa and the neighboring states, but also neighboring countries of Chad and Cameroon. It is also expected to expand the scope of the gesture to be benefited by women and children across the country. In Iola, Adamawa State Capital, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
Now back to more politics now. Outgoing governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, has handed over to the head of service, Wenga Fasheluka. Kehinde Durola reports that while the governor inaugurated 2 projects, his valedictory dinner was deserted by political appointees.
The governor thanked members of his cabinet for their dedication to the service of the state, adding that projects and policies executed by his administration were done in the interest of the state. As a formal handing over to the state head of service, the governor expressed his readiness to answer call for clarification on any subjects in his 4-year tenure.
You have given me the necessary support. I want to use this opportunity to thank you, and thank Ekiti people. Thank all the traditional rulers for their moral support.
One of the 3 projects inaugurated by the outgoing governor was the school in Afao Ekiti, his hometown, and a new speaker's lodge. A new building to accommodate the Ministry of Finance was also inaugurated. He employed the users of the project to guide them jealously. A dinner in honor of Mr. Fayose was, however, deserted by political aides, technocrats, and guests invited. From Ado Ekiti, Kendi Durodola, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress in Nasarawa State held a stakeholders meeting to reaffirm the commitment of working together to vote President Muhammadu Buhari and candidates fielded by the party for all positions. The meeting in Abuja, chaired by Governor Umaru Tanko Almakura and attended by all governorship aspirants in the past primary election, as well as representatives of state and national assemblies, resolved to ensure peaceful and harmonious participation by the party members. Similarly, the meeting directed all former governorship aspirants to synergize with the candidates of the party in the state and work for victory.
After all said and done,
and the dust these struggles have raised, we have come together as a family to review what has happened and reconcile. I'm so happy to say that today you can see on our faces.
Participants at the meeting expressed abiding commitment to work for the success of the party in 2019 general elections. The National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons is repositioning its staff to provide sustainable solutions to persons of concern. This informed a two-day workshop for the staff towards effective service delivery. Amarachukwu Menka has the details.
This orientation workshop for middle-level cadre is coming at a time the Commission is saddled with more the responsibilities of meeting the needs of internally displaced persons within and outside the country. The workshop provides a platform for staff of the Commission to understand the strategic roadmap in repositioning the Commission.
The Commission, under my leadership, we have come up with a strategic roadmap that will guide the activities of the Commission for the next 3 years.
The good thing is that they've started the implementation of the roadmap, and a couple of months from now, you start seeing the traction, you start seeing the impact, you start feeling the visibility across all the areas that we've mentioned during the workshop.
The senior management staff of the Commission had their retreat earlier in the year on this subject in Abuja. Umenka Marachuku, NTA News.
Now, the troops of Sector 3 deployed in Operation Lafia Dole on Friday, 12th October, has successfully repelled an attack by Boko Haram terrorists at Arege in Borno State. A statement by Brigadier General Texas Chukwu, Director, Army Public Relations, said that during the encounter, several members of the Boko Haram terrorists were neutralized and some fled with gunshot injuries. During the operation, a vehicle was recovered while 3 gun trucks were destroyed by the troops, and about 6 soldiers sustained injuries. The Director, Army Public Operations, has urged the public to report any suspicious movements or activities in their environment to law enforcement agents for proper action. Now, we thank you for staying with us up to this moment on Weekend File. The ban on rice importation through land borders and other restrictive measures encapsulated in the rice production revolution of government has reduced rice importation by over 90%, says the government. We will find out more on these and other rice production matters. And next for us now will be correspondence report when we return from this short break.
Africa's fastest growing educational institution, Afe Babalola University, Ado-Ekiti, Abuja, celebrate 9th Founders Day and 6th convocation. Ceremonies begin Sunday, 14th October with a Thanksgiving service, October 16th, facility tour, October 17th, induction of computer and engineering students, October 18th, induction of law graduates, and grand finale convocation games, October 19th, induction into Abuja Alumni Association and Jumat service, October 20th, convocation lecture by Mr. John Momo, Chairman, Channels Television, evening, Founders Day, awards, endowment, and a dinner. Sunday, October 21, convocation ceremony, awards of degrees, prizes, and honorary degrees to be conferred on the President, African Development Bank, Dr. Akiwumi Additional, and the Chairman, Channels Group, Mr. John Momo. Programs commence at 10 a.m. prompt. Abuja, most successful private university in Nigeria by Association of Vice Chancellors.
The time has come again when we all gather at the Unity Forum to celebrate the uniqueness of our cultural diversity and showcase the beauty of our cultural creativity and ingenuity. It's the National Festival of Arts and Culture, NAFEST, in the Garden City of Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Come, let's celebrate our culture and heritage. Hold it 20th to 27th October 2018. Special features, dance drama, traditional wrestling, indigenous textiles and cuisine, arts and crafts exhibition, entrepreneurship roundtable, skills acquisition, and many more. 20th to 27th October 2018 be a part of history. It's NAFest Rivers 2018, the festival that unites the nation. Otumba Olusegun Runshewe, DG National Council for Arts and Culture, announced.
Fake news which is shared for malicious purposes is a danger to our peace and security in Nigeria. Misinformation as fake news is a serious threat to our hard-earned democracy and promotes hatred and misunderstanding between our communities. We are all responsible for stopping the spread of fake news in its tracks. So, always check the source and credibility of any news item. Say no to fake news. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
The federal government's initiative on rice production is not only pushing Nigeria to self-sufficiency, but also creating jobs along the value chain of the commodity. Records show that youths who embraced rice production are also making money through seed production. Correspondent Musa Babaliu came across some of these youths in the eastern part of the country.
Seed and seedlings are the foundation of any crop production, meaning without them, there will be no food. And that is why the rice revolution under the present administration is not only focusing on the paddy production alone, but also giving priority to quality seed production. To this end, the federal government, in collaboration with international organizations, including the International Fund for Agricultural Development and Agricultural Transformation Agenda of the African Development Bank, is at present empowering youth in commercial seed production.
We may have many interventions.
Ezekiel Ekene, one of the beneficiaries of seed production in Enugu State, says the initiative has changed his earlier perception about farming.
It has been a good source of income. It has increased the livelihood of my family in terms of feeding, in terms of finance. At least I can say that I cannot say that I'm financially buoyant, but at least it has reduced the stress of finance for me.
I harvested my own 3 days ago.
Inken Dilim, a mother of 3, says the turnover from her seeds farm is higher than that of paddy.
You know, the price of rice is too down now. But at least, but if I can be able to make up to 400,000 naira, I can be happy. I can manage it.
Mrs. Ngozi is another rice producer in Anambra State. She told me she was trained by the federal government through International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD.
Before, I'm just cultivating just 4 hectares before. But now I have more than 15 hectares now because of the seed, because of the money just the seed just give me. You know, from the 4 hectares to 15 hectares is not a small thing.
To further boost the initiative in south-south part of the country, this rice seed farm was established in Cross River State. The farm, which is fully mechanized, was established by the state government in collaboration with the Central Bank of Nigeria and other foreign partners. Agriculturists are of the view that the rice revolution is not only domiciled in the north, but the entire country. And for beneficiaries like Ezekiel Ekene, rice seed production is the way out to earn a living in the face of rising unemployment in the country. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Thank you, Musa, for that background report. Increased production and the demand for local rice is significantly impacting on the initiative by the federal government to ensure Nigerians grow the nation's need for food security and sustaining significant contribution on income generation among participants in the value chain. From Lafia, Joshua Ojito reports that in addition to local outlets across the state, government has established a post-harvest processing and marketing pilot project.
Rice milling is a very popular economic venture in Lafia and parts of the state, depending on capacity of the participants and the supply chain. Nasarawa State, which occupies the 7th position on the production output among states in Nigeria, is consolidating government target of 7 million tons of rice by this year to meet the national consumption rates.
By my reason of buying it too, it is more cheaper and affordable.
We are really enjoying it. If you can get machine that will just separate the chaff from the rice, it's okay.
The initiative by the federal government borrowing schemes have encouraged many farmers to return to farm with a boom in rice production. In addition to smallholder, there are large-scale farms that are privately owned in Rukubi, Doma local government area of the state with high turnover. Participants are, however, of the opinion that with more intervention, significant boost on rice production and processing of the commodity can be achieved. The government has listened with the establishment of a post-harvest rice mill complex in Lafia.
In each of the 13 local government councils, we have a committee or association of rice millers that will target the large production of the uptakers so that they will be buying the bulk of the rice for processing in each of the 13 local government councils in the state, so that you have every state being self-sufficient, especially in rice production and rice processing.
In spite of the challenges, the farmers say the outlook is bright and will ensure putting more effort on rice production to meet consumption needs and improve their income generation. In Lafia, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
For a long time, Benue State has been recognized as the food basket of the nation because of enormous agricultural potential, such as soil fertility, labor, and conducive weather. Rice is among the staple crops doing well in the state, as we hear from Edina Justice from Makurdi.
Benue State falls within the middle region of the Benue Trough that stretches from the Lake Chad Basin in the north through Borno, Taraba, and southward to the bed of Benin. It is not only a wetland but also a fertile soil for all manner of crops, especially cereal crops like rice, corn, millet, and sorghum. Professor Monde Ukwela of Crop and Environmental Protection, University of Makurdi, says Benue State is blessed with arable land for all year-round agriculture.
The land is mostly sandy loamy, and of course sandy loamy with most of the land being wet during the dry season. The land can be very productive in terms of rice production.
The state has comparative advantage in the production of rice over all other states in the north. It's as a result of our good fertile land and the presence of rivers Benue, river Kasinala, and several other tributaries coupled with other water bodies.
Rice production in Benue State is majorly a mixture of peasantry and cottage production.
So many people are benefiting from it. Many families are being rehabilitated, especially those that were involved in the crisis.
Mama Dokas Akishi, who produces rice for her immediate family consumption, says other problems are fertilizers, weeds, and pest control.
I don't used to have this thing fertilizer to filter the ground so that I will have much rice.
The major problem they have is weeding and bird control. And I can't help it but to give her a helping hand. They said with a little push, Benue will be able to produce rice for exports.
In Makurdi, Edina Justice, NTA News.
Thank you indeed, Edino. Now from Gombe comes this report that farmers under FADAMA 3 additional financing program have lauded the federal government for introducing modern technology in rice farming. Zara Umar Adamu was at a Tudu Kwaya rice farm cluster of Biliri local government area and has this situation report.
The FADAMA 3 Additional Financing 1 program in Gombe State took off with 100 farmers currently working on rice value chain at the Tudukwaya cluster of Biliri local government area. The input support benefits include assorted fertilizer, rice seeds, agrochemical, and tractor to cultivate the 100 hectares of farmland in line with President Muhammadu Buhari's program of improved rice production. The assessment team of the project expressed satisfaction with the yield, encouraging the farmers to embrace rice production as a business and to adhere to the consultant's advice.
To make rice production a business,
That is why we came in with all the technologies involved, especially in the agronomic practices that are involved in rice production.
Certified seed councils. That's where you can get improved and certified seeds. And even if the logo is there, you have to verify.
The rice farmers said the improved technology in rice farming is worth encouraging.
We really benefited from the program because we have about 100 farmers that are benefiting under this program.
Zara Umar Adam, NTA News.
The collaboration between Kebbi and Lagos states in boosting rice production is among the landmark achievements of the federal government in curbing net importation of rice into the country. Usman Abdullahi Shehu takes a look at the impact of the collaboration on the farmers and food security.
Kebbi State produces over 2 million metric tons of paddy rice per annum through dry and rainy season production. The state with good marshy land and rivers that traverse almost all the 21 local government areas of the state provide fertile land for rice production. Successive governments over the years have introduced different initiatives to further boost rice production in the state. The current administration of President Muhammadu Buhari consolidated effort of the past administrations when it introduced the Anko Borowa program, which empower farmers to produce not only rice but other food and cash crops. Seeing the success of the federal government initiative in rice production, Kebbi State government went into partnership with Lagos State government to find ready market for farmers in the state.
Well, it was actually launched on the 17th of November 2015 by Mr. President, President Muhammadu Buhari, and since that time it has been success throughout. At least in Nigeria today, everybody is talking about locally produced rice. It has succeeded in almost eliminating the importation of rice into the country.
The commissioner further said the state has also signed a memorandum of understanding with millers in and outside the state to consolidate the success of Lake Rice Agreement with Lagos State, and other memorandum of understanding will soon be signed with other international agencies.
The establishment of Labana Rice Mill has encouraged so many people to go into rice production, much more than they were doing. And those in the business have expanded their farms.
In addition to Labana Rice, there is also Wakot, which has started production, while Dandi Rice Mill in Kamba will soon come to stream. Usman Abdullahi Shehu.
And to throw more light on this is Ilyasu Awori, the Deputy National Secretary, Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria. I will be speaking in our discussion segment, but that will be after this break.
Hello, Niger.
It's a beautiful day.
And now it's time for some amazing music.
Don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back.
Where is it?
What are you searching for?
With Glow Yakata, for every recharge, they'll give you 22 times the amount to call all the networks.
What? So if I load 100 Naira, they will give me 2,200 Naira?
Exactly! And that's not all. They are also giving up to 6 gigabytes of data every month for 6 whole months.
Wow! That's incredible!
Yes!
Are you sure? 22 times on every recharge?
Yup.
Found it! Found it! That's it! Yes!
Glow Yakata. Get up to 6 gigabytes of data every month for 6 months and 2,200 Naira bonus for every 100 Naira recharge. To call all networks where talkers and browsers live.
The largest data network, Glow, grandmasters of data.
When it comes to 30,000 Naira, 30,000 Naira to somebody is 1,000,000 Naira.
I just applied online. I did not know anybody.
I'm under carpenting. I was given saw, bar, tenant saw, hammer.
Federal government is able to mobilize me by giving me one iPad to aid me in carrying out my exercise.
So the money that was given to me, I was able to establish some little farm, and this building we are standing on.
I also have goats that I train.
But with the exception of the Empower, I've been able to do some little contribution that have actually helped me to put the money together and been able to service people.
My thanks goes to the President, President Muhammadu Buhari, for this thing that he has done for the youth of Nigeria. So we are grateful.
All right, now we have in the studio Ilyasu Awodi, the Deputy National Secretary, Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria. Thank you for coming on the program this evening.
Thank you very much.
Now, let's begin by asking you to make your comment on the increased rice production in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. With the Anko Borrowers program launched a few years ago by President Buhari, Nigeria has seen a leap in the production of rice in the country, to the effect that Nigeria is not importing any more rice into this country. What is the effect of this? Nigeria is now saving over 365 billion naira, which used to be paid to our importers, because Nigeria consumes on daily basis almost 1 billion naira worth of rice. Yes. By the Anko Borrowers program, our Nigerian farmers, RIFAN has about 12.2 million registered farmers all over the Federation. And recently, a new Anko Borrowers program has been introduced, which we call cashless Anko Borrowers program. This, in a sense, means farmers don't get cash.
What do they get?
Good. Inputs from seeds, fertilizer, chemicals, so that in the past, Nigeria, once you give out money, then people rush in. They're not interested in farming. They get money and sit at home. But these days, farmers are being followed from the start of the season, from the tilling of the land, to planting, to chemical preparation, to ensure that farmers follow due processes of rice cultivation in order to increase their yield when the time comes for harvesting. And the federal government has tried to ensure that farmers don't lack anything. And the president, in his own wisdom, gave a nod to ensure that CBN, to ensure that members of Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria gets all the support we require, and this we are getting.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, are you speaking for both big-time farmers and smallholder farmers? Because we know that there are smallholder farmers in the rice subsector. Are you speaking also for them? Because you have expressed some joy that the government has made it possible for your men and women who are in the field to have access to at least the input.
That's right. No, we're only targeting the peasant farmers, because they are the producers of rice. They are the ones that feed this country. So all our efforts being geared towards assisting the peasant farmers. We have more than 12 million registered rice farmers who can produce more than 6 to 7 million metric tons, which is already above the needs of this country. And
go ahead.
And unfortunately, this year we've been ravaged with floods. And I was in one of the teams that traveled to Kogi and Niger states to see the ravage done to farms. It was catastrophic. And it was sad what we saw.
But what you saw, the volume of what you saw, would it in any way affect the total output of rice for this year?
Well, it will, but we are already proactive. We have already organized our farmers who will go into dry season farming immediately. In fact, we're already in the processes of ensuring we registered more farmers than what we did in the rainy season. We are now targeting about maybe 500,000 farmers to go into production.
All right, now discouraging smuggling of rice into the country is one of the cardinal objectives of the federal government in vigorously pursuing increase in rice production. Now, I'm just wondering whether there's still smuggling of rice with all these increased, production of this crop.
Very much. Recently, we held a meeting with the Minister of Agriculture, the rice producers, that's the millers, Bank of Agriculture, Unity Bank, those involved in the Anchor Borrowers programs. And what came out in that meeting was sad, because smuggling is still very active, especially in Lagos area. And we also held a meeting with Hamid Ali, who is the customs head. And he told us that it was sad that he was losing men who tried to ensure that rice are not smuggled into the country.
So the smugglers are even combative?
Yes, they are. They are. We are losing men. And it has reached, I think, a stage whereby I think government is being advised to close the borders. This is what Nigerians don't want to hear. But if it doesn't go into that level, it will be very sad for this country.
Okay, thank you for all your submissions. Now, let's ask you to comment freely on why you think rice revolution introduced by the federal government has really worked.
Oh, it has worked. It has worked. Number one, there's already reduced importation of rice into this country. The effect here is that we'll have healthier Nigerians, because it has been noted that imported rice is not healthy for human consumption.
Okay, thank you. Time is not on our side. Now, talk about mechanization of farming. Is it a possibility? The one we saw in Akwa Ibom in one of our reports clearly shows that it is possible. Can it be spread across the country?
No, it can be, because I visited that large factory in Calabar, where they raise a lot of seedlings.
Okay.
And how they can even transport the seedling to any state in the federation. And they can transplant it within few hours.
Okay.
So it is very possible.
Very possible. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ilyasu Awodi, the Deputy National Secretary, Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria. Thank you indeed.
Thank you
for your insight on this particular topic. Right, stay with us because coming next will be sports and, of course, weather reports.
Brought us as usual.
As usual. You have no problem.
For the three put
you are welcome, sir.
As usual, yeah?
You take that one. Yes. Take that one. You don't understand? We want Nigerian homegrown rice. Finish. You don't have? You don't have?
Join the rice revolution today.
No other rice that tastes like Nigerian rice. Are you sorry? That's the Nigerian rice we are talking about. Chocolate made in Nigerian rice. Healthy food. I'm going to bring Mrs. Mobu to come to chocolate rice of made in Nigeria here. And see how it are made.
Correct.
And how they are cook it.
Correct.
Homegrown rice are good for your health. It boosts our economy and give employment to our people.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Experience, they say, is the best teacher.
They hold us from the sea. Thank God that we came back home. They should not go there because it's not good. It's a very bad place. So that's just my advice. Even now, sir, they are shooting the boat they are going to use to go Italy. May they stop it. Our country is good. Our country is a blessed country. Now I know, say I know our country is a blessed country. I know before I for not travel from Nigeria to Libya. I know how much I spent.
Let these personal experiences serve as a lesson to all who would repeat their mistakes. A word is enough for the wise.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Nigeria Super Eagles beat Libya 4-0 in the first leg of 2019 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers in Uyo as Tom Jumbe and Pranjala Yadapali emerged champions of second week of the 2018 Lagos Open Tennis Tournament. Olumide Guntola has this and more on Sports Update.